How's everybody doing out there? I am Super Solican, and this is the Spiritual Awakening. I want to go ahead and do this message about asking for a king, asking for government to lead you. This was not the way that God ordained it to be. God wants to be your leader. Now, Jesus Christ has told us to render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. When render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, we understand that we are to, as Christians, ought to be law-abiding citizens and to try to keep the law and keep the peace. But at the end of the day, we are supposed to be governed by God and God alone. You see so much propaganda and rhetoric right now of people talking about, I'm sick of the government. People talking about how they sick of the government having a hand in their lives. People saying that they want to reduce government. People saying that the things that the your president and the government produces, people are saying that they don't agree with that. They don't want to live their lives like that. But I'm here to tell you, this is what you've chosen. You've rejected God. America itself is a perfect example. Americans have rejected their first love, which is God. You in the on every piece of currency it says, "In God we trust," on that. But yet and still in this country, you see so many people falling away from the Lord. So many people who are non-believers, people who don't want to do God's will for their life. The country itself, the leaders, they're not trying to uphold any of God's law. Look at what Obama did. Obama made gay marriage legal. That's something that a king will do. They'll go seek after their own agendas. In the book of First Samuel, and this is chapter 8, this is titled Israel Asked for a King. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons and judges over Israel. The name of his son, his firstborn, was Joel. Name of his second was Abijah. They served at Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice. All the elders of Israel gathered together and said to Samuel, "You are old, and your sons do not walk in our ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as the other nations have." Israel was led by prophets. God, what did the prophets do? They inquired of God. God spoke with those prophets and gave them directions on what to do. God doesn't speak to everybody face to face like that. A lot of those people, the Israelites had hard hearts. You seen what happened with them. They'll abandon God soon as soon as they get the first chance. They're turning their backs on God. So God doesn't communicate with all of them. He communicated through what was the prophet, which at that time was called the seer. But the people are saying that Samuel is old now and his sons aren't walking in his ways. So that's meaning that his sons are being corrupt. His sons are corrupt and corrupting the things of God. They not living like Samuel. They're only Christians in name. I mean, they're only God-fearing men by title. They're only appointed in their positions just due to lineage and things like that, not because of the things that they stand for or because they were following God. They were just Samuel's sons. So the people are like, we need a king. We want a king like the other nations have. When they said, "Give us a king to lead us," this displeased Samuel. So he prayed to the Lord. The Lord told him, this is what God said: Listen to all that the people are saying to you, because it is not you they rejected, but they have rejected me as their king. And I'm going to go to verse 9 here. It says, now listen to them, but warn them solemnly, and let them know what the king who will reign over them will do. This is the meat of the video here. Be careful what you wish for, because you asked for this system of government that we have. Even in America, where this is one of the better, more civilized countries, the government isn't totally corrupted. This is like the bet. Even in this game, which of politics and government and all and candidates and all of that. Even in that game, this is the best game in town, or one of them. But still, the government and their officials and all of the rich people who have a hand in it, the elites, because that's who actually makes a lot of the decisions. They influence behind the scenes. It's those who have money and power. But God is telling them that he's telling Samuel, don't even worry. Don't worry about it. Don't feel discouraged, because this pleased Samuel. He's thinking like, man, what, why God is leading us. I know that I haven't done anything wrong. This is Samuel. So why are you asking, for a leader? It displeased him. He didn't understand that. But God is telling him, don't even worry. They not rejecting you. What the people are doing is rejecting me as their leader. And this is what Israel has done. They've done that all throughout the Bible up until this time. When God saved them from Pharaoh, took them out of Egypt, led by Moses and Aaron, what did the people do? They didn't even wait long before they start turning to other gods and turning on the living God. So let's go to, this is still in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 10. Samuel told all these words to the Lord. Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking him for a king. He said, this is what the king who will reign over you will do. And I'm going to name off and list all the things in terms and concepts that are for now. I'm going to read what Samuel is saying, and then we're going to equate that of the times now in the system of government we're under. Samuel said, this is what the king who will reign over you will do. He will take your sons, make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. What example can you equate that to in America right now? The Secret Service, military, police. The government uses them to not only enforce their laws, but to like when you have any type of event, any type of thing where that king is going to be, or just like what recently with Donald Trump, he had his Secret Service who was protecting him. The police were there. But these people could have been harmed as well. The Secret Service are there to take a bullet for the president. This is what Samuel is saying, that king that you asked for, this is what he's going to do. That's one of the things. So they'll take your sons and make them serve with his chariots, and they will run in front of his chariots. Police escorting, all of those, like I said, the convoy of Secret Service, that's what you have today. But you never hear about the Secret Service people getting killed. Don't nobody really worry about them. They don't get any glory. They just get replaced. Some he will assign to be commanders of thousands and commanders of 50s, and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest. So the first part was the military, sending the men and women to fight their greed wars, to fight wars of greed and wars that don't have really nothing to do with the best interests of the American people, as in their safety. No, these wars are made up and manufactured for gain. And but they're gonna need somebody to send over there and run their machines and they drones and go to war. So that's what they're gonna do with your sons and your daughters now. That's what they're gonna do. That's what the king you elected is gonna do. And others to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and still others to make weapons of war and equipment for the chariots. The first part I just read is having and others to plow his ground and reap his harvest. That government took over. They bought up all the farmland. They basically put small town farmers out of business. Or, farmers, period. They basically took a big hit from the government coming in and just basically steal, like taking the land, raping the land, constantly tilling it, constantly taking the resources from it constantly without giving it a break. That's why you have so much, when you start having lack of actual produce and products, because the ground shuts up. The ground shuts itself off from they constant taking from it and pillaging with these big machines. The government basically took over the farmer's land. So that's what your king is gonna do. Also, it says that he's gonna have you making weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. So these are people who you see who they make. These people are making the weapons. Like, think about those who make the drones, the people who create the nuclear bombs, the people who making the components for those things, the people who loading, making all of the bullets that got to get shot out of a fighter jet, the missiles, making all of these things. There's people who the tracking systems. There's people who are recruited to make those. That's their job. But in their job, they are helping making weapons that are going to kill people, innocent people at that. But that's what your king will have you doing. You see so many people who have fought against going to these wars that America has fought. You have people now who are protesting. They want to reduce government. You have people who have I don't agree with this. You have people who have been out here protesting to defund the police and all of this other stuff. But this is what you asked for. And long ago, Samuel from God warned you what your kings and your leaders, your presidents, and your elected officials will do. This is what they will do. And continue, it says, he will have your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and give them to his attendants. Basically, that's saying he's going to have your daughters working, working jobs. They have a minimum wage set. You're going to be forced to work check to check, because the government sets a minimum wage of what they think you should be paid for your living and how much you should be paid for your labor. The government sets this. Now you have people who they're talking about, they want the government to force them to force jobs to pay them what they believe that there's enough to live. Like, they want to force the government to do that, to implement them regulations and not leave it up to the private entities that are the jobs. This is what the people want. But see, That's something that, again, that's a private thing. These are private companies. That's something that you can, like wealth attainment, you can get that. You can take care of that problem without getting the government involved. Like your skills are what you are paid for. So different people make a different wage based on their skill set and what, the leverage you gain. You can do whatever you want today in this day and age. There's so many avenues to make money. So there's really no excuses on that end. It's up to the individual. There's some people who think that there's going to be government, like they depend on government assistance. Some people are constantly looking for government handouts to be the thing that like gets them to the next level. Like, don't depend on that. Why are you waiting on the government for that? Don't depend on the government for that. To do what you need to do for yourself. That's been keeping people down for the longest. Now we're still in the book of Samuel, First Samuel chapter 8, and this is verse 15. It says, "He will take a tenth of your grain and of your vineyards and give them to his officers and to his servants." Or basically, he's going to take taxes from you. The government's going to take your taxes, take even more money from you that you work for. This is a number that you don't pick. They take taxes from you when you own your home. You're constantly getting taxed like you never fully owned the land. Your grandfather could have inherited the house from your grandparents. The house been paid off. Your grandparents didn't pay taxes because he was old. They were older. But now when you inherit the house, the taxes start all over again. It's like, what changed, man? This is my grandfather's house and land. They paid for it already. But no, the government wants a tenth. And they taxing for school. You may not even have children in school, but you still got to pay a school tax, property taxes. And what do they do with all of that? They line their pockets. The rich get richer. They find ways to funnel this money into they supporters' pockets. And when the rich gets richer. That's it. And they continue the same cycle over and over again. It says your maid servants and your maids, your men servants and maid servants, and the best of your cattle and donkeys he will take for his own use. Again, that goes with the military, the Secret Service, these jobs, the politicians, the games of politics. You have these elites or people who have been to college and all of that. They tend to be the most indoctrinated. That's like they're government indoctrinated. A lot of them don't possess the spirit of the Lord. A lot of them are just carnal minded people. That's because they've been indoctrinated by this system here. It says he'll take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry for relief from the king that you have chosen, and the Lord will not answer you in that day. So Samuel's telling you that when after all of that goes on, you're going to start crying out to God for that king that you've chosen, for the president that you've chosen, for this system that you've continued to let go on. Because again, the people are the ones, if they were to rise up, the people in majority, they would be able to dictate what goes on and shape what goes on. Just in truth. And I mean, it starts with your actions in your daily life. the things that you devote your time to in your daily life, the endeavors and things that you pursue to make money in your daily life, the things that you have built, your leading your family, in turn going out and leading your building your community, helping build your community, and gathering and being around people of like mind, and continuing to go out and spread that same mindset amongst the people. That's how it is. Once you get that light in you, it resonates outward, resonates to your family, then it resonates outward to the community, then it resonates outward to the whole surrounding world, the whole populace. People will be the people, a spirit will come over the people. It'll be the same spirit. Yes, that can happen. Yes. I'm going to read you an example of that. I'm going to give you an example of how it's a spiritual battle that we fight. An example of how that when you get on one accord and something like that happens, like I'll use an example. Say if, Lord forbid, something was to happen and someone sent over or there was an attack on America. Everyone would come on one accord, or at least not, I'm not going to say everyone, but there'll be a great number of people to get on one accord under that we have to protect our people and protect this country and protect America. Okay? In the Bible, again, we can jump to, this is 1 Samuel and this is chapter 11. Let's go to verse 6. It says, when Saul heard their words, the Spirit of God came upon him in power, and he burned with anger. He took a pair of oxen, cut them to pieces, sent the pieces by messengers throughout Israel, proclaiming, this is what will be done to the oxen if anyone does not follow Samuel and Saul. Then the terror of the Lord fell on the people, and they turned out as one man. The terror of the Lord came on the people due to this approaching army who wanted them to gouge out one of their eyes in order to make a treaty with them and for them to leave them alone. The terror of God came on them, and they came out as one man. The Spirit of God came on them. And that's what will motivate and the glue. That's the glue that will keep a people together to move, to do something great. It's the Spirit of God, and it puts people on one accord. That's what us as Christians need to be focusing on. Us getting on one accord and doing God's will for our life. This is why Christians shape a lot of things, even though they're not in politics. You know, you have Christian politicians and things like that. But the Christians shape a lot of things, even though they're not in politics, due to the spirit that they have, the power, the actual power that they have to create change. But what's going to happen if your king that you appoint is not a God-fearing man? What's going to happen to the king that you appoint? What's going to happen to the people if the king, the head, is not a God-fearing man? Let's just see what the Bible says about that. Samuel was telling the people in the book of 1 Samuel, and I'm going to start at this is chapter 12, verse 12. And Samuel was giving the Israelites a history of what God has done for them, how God raised them up, brought them out of Egypt, delivered them from battle after battle with a mighty hand, led them personally, showed them signs and wonders. But they still wanted a king. And in chapter 12, verse 12, Samuel is saying, but when you saw that Nahash, king of the Ammonites, was moving against you, then you said to me, no, we want a king to rule over us, even though the Lord your God was your king. Now here is the king you have chosen, one you have asked for. The Lord set a king over you. The people were, and said, if you fear the Lord and serve and obey him and do not rebel against his commands, if both you and the king who reigns over you follow the Lord your God, good. But if you do not obey the Lord, and if you rebel against his commands, his hand will be against you as it was against your fathers. Look at America today. America is sinking down further and further into debauchery, chaos. No camaraderie is on the earth. Distrust, mistrust, disingenuousness, disinterest, dissension, turmoil. Man, I could go on and on. Like your own government is working against your belief. People believe that their own government is working against they're not working for their best interest. That's what people believe today. And this is about America. But Samuel said that if you want a king to reign over you, you want a system of government, this pony show, if you want this, then good. If you want that and you want to follow the Lord, then good. But if you don't obey the Lord and you rebel against his commands, his hand is going to be against you as it was against your fathers. And what does this mean for the king? For the king and his nation and his kingdom? What does that mean? Well, it's still in the book of 1 Samuel, and this is chapter 13. It's saying that, well, let's start at we're going to start at the end of chapter 12, actually. It says, and I will teach you the way that is good and right, but be sure to fear the Lord and serve him faithfully with all your heart. Consider what great things he has done for you. Yet if you persist in doing evil, both you and your king will be swept away. What Samuel did there is put the onus and responsibility on the people. Some people, again, want to depend on the government and blame the government for all their problems. That's not how it works. You have personal autonomy. You see how Saul was raised up to be king from being a lowly Benjamite. His family and clan was the least in the tribes of Israel. But yet he grew up, he was raised up and jumped through all of the ranks, jumped all the way over them to become their head and their king. It's the same thing with regular citizens and people. Don't look at the government or the president and be like, look, oh, I'm powerless to them. No, they don't even matter. What matters is you serving God. Your king is God, and you need to focus on him. Serve him. Everything else will be added to you. Everything else will work out. If you're following his laws and serve him, you'll in turn, your conduct will be good over the earth. So you ain't got to worry about the government. You don't need nothing from them but to stay out of your business. You understand? And that meaning you can't have it both ways. You can't try to separate church and state one time, then you want to mesh it together when it's convenient. No, the people are tired of that. But again, we the people are the ones who are actually in control if we could get on one accord and follow the true king, the heavenly Father. That's why there will never be paradise on earth. That's why heaven will never come to earth until Jesus Christ comes back and he governs it. Jesus Christ is going to govern the whole earth in fairness, spirit, and truth. And I can't wait for those times. I would like those times to come about, because people you're going to keep getting the same cycle and same song and dance when you keep when you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's crazy. So with that being said, this is the awakening, the spiritual awakening. I am Supersonic, and a peace and blessings, a special blessing to those who listen to the end of the video. All right, hit that like and subscribe button if you so see fit. I'll see you next time.